Every day, millions of people ask, what is Scientology? Here's an idea. What if you just take a look?
Take for yourself.
What if you see for yourself
No one else can see.
who we are,
No one else.
what we believe,
Take for yourself.
and what we stand for? Our doors are open
See for yourself.
to all people of all faiths in every corner of the world.
Just look inside. You will know it when you see with your own eyes.
So what is Scientology?
Take for yourself.
Maybe it's time to look and decide for yourself.
Good evening.
Bravo.
Hello to my esteemed guest, Gabe, as usual, my Canadian counterpart, partner,
Hello.
team
Sure.
member, friend.
All of the above.
Yes, we got a few people in the chat here. Let's say hello to the few of them.
Okay.
One person who is not here right now because he's actually sleeping, but I would like to say hello to him for the replay crew. Hello to the SB chef Samuel. We had a really lovely chat today, and it's always nice to see and hear from him. We got Lori, take down the cult, supporting from Edmonton. Awesome. Pokaroo from Ontario. My lovely wife, Andrea. And of course, Lorna. Hello.
Hello.
All right, guys. Well, today is going to be a fairly casual chat. So as you guys know, I recently visited our old org and said hello to a few of my old friends and our old friends. And during my first visit a week ago, I noticed the place was awfully dirty. And I pointed that out on our video about it. Lo and behold, I went back 4 days later and everything had changed. It was much cleaner. They had cleaned the sign and everything. And I just think it's hilarious that it's just further evidence that they're sitting there watching our videos. And I can only imagine what that meeting must have been like, because I don't think they cleaned up just because of me. I think that someone uplines or a Sea Org member who works at the org here got a report and made them clean this up because they realized how crappy the org looked. What do you think about that, Gabe?
It looks disgusting, and somebody's obviously watching.
Yeah.
I would agree with you. But it happened quickly, so who knows? Maybe it's just local. I don't know.
Well, that is a good question, and of course, we'll never know.
No.
I do know that Andy, hello Andy,
Hi, Andy.
watches our videos for sure, because we are his we're his enemies, I suppose. Like, he sees us for some reason as a threat, and is letting us know about that. I'm going to share some pictures here.
Do you remember that saying? Do you remember that saying that was that went on in the org? Maybe you weren't there, but anybody who left the church and was declared or whatever, went into the independent field, they would say they've gone to the dark side.
I was not aware of that.
Yes, we've gone to the dark side.
Star Wars references.
Yes.
All right. So this is before shots. So this is the very front sign that faces Hastings Street. So this is just above the entrance doors here. And then there's a nice close-up I took. It's just disgusting. Like, this has got to be 8 years of grime for sure. And I know this because I used to be in the exterior cleaning field. I know how algae builds up and all that stuff. So I know it's been a while since they've kept their ethics in and gotten the place cleaned up. And then this is the little bit of an after shot. So here's after. This is the sign. This sign basically looked exactly the same as the other one in the front. But as you can see, they've cleaned it all up. Got rid of the algae. You know, there's only so much they can do with this blue kind of fascia. They completely missed this spot right here. You know, and I actually messaged Andy after because I went back and I saw how clean it was. I thought, you know what, Andy, I did a little inspection, and frankly, the work wasn't very good. In between these letters is a bunch of algae, and then they completely missed this.
Oh.
So this is the front. So here is facing Hastings, and this is facing down the street Hastings, and they completely missed this entire side. Like, how do you miss that? And so I messaged Andy and let him know that there was an overt product on this, and I thought he'd like to know.
So an overt product is what?
Sorry, Gabe. Let me educate you a little bit here. An overt product is basically if you were given a job to do, let's say clean this sign, and it's not perfectly clean, or parts are missed, or it's half done, or just generally you didn't achieve the desired result. That's called an overt product, and usually someone who is in ethics creates overt products.
Yeah,
per Scientology.
So here's my theory on how that got cleaned so fast.
Tell me.
Somebody in what would likely be in a lower condition, or who would likely be in a lower condition, probably had to do that under duress. And that's why there was areas missed, because when you have to do things under duress, you're not very happy about it. Exactly. Yep. Well, somebody's going to be in trouble, but somebody was also in trouble when they had to do that. That's just my guess.
Yeah, and I'm going to guess who did it. And I'm going to ask him next time I see him. Because there's only one person during my visit that spoke to me 3 times. And we actually had a very long conversation off the record, which I'm not going to repeat here because I told him I wouldn't. But I think James was the one that had to clean this, because he was very clearly fraternizing with me, having, nice. I don't know if that's the right word, but
it's good.
We were having actual conversation, person to person, friend to friend. I consider him a friend. Like, him and I spent a lot of time together. So I think he did. I'm going to check with him next time I go down there, and there will be a next time. Andy, sorry, buddy, but I can't let it go.
Yeah.
Hey, and just while we're talking about here, if you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. If you put capital letters question before it, that'd be great, because that makes it easy for me to see, and it stands out better. So yeah, we do have 2 questions we can answer here.
Oh, okay.
Ian Nachi 2006 asked, did you guys get a freeloaders bill when you left? I did.
They tried.
They tried. Did you?
I never got a bill. Somebody called me. Was the Wendy Smith, the deputy executive director, called me and asked me if I would pay for my auditing that I received. Actually, it was the interrogation that I received. And that was about $4,000. And I said, not on your effing life, and hung up the phone.
So I had a similar experience with Wendy Smith. Actually, she's not on staff anymore, which I find interesting, but we can talk about that later. So when I left, I had a bunch of auditing, sec checking or interrogation, and I paid at staff rates, which was half. And she said that I had to pay the other half back because I didn't finish my contract, and pay for any courses I did. And she told me it was like $6,000 or something like that, right? So quite a bit of money. And I said, well, I said F no. I'm not going to say that word right now. It might be too early, but I said, you can go F yourself. I'm not giving you shit, and
Yeah.
walked away. And there's nothing she could say about it because they're not legally binding debts,
No.
which people don't understand. You know, they think that there'll be collections or something like that if you don't pay the bill, but it's just not true. So Auntie has a question here. How much might the less than top-notch condition be because some of the staff don't really want to be there anymore, but don't feel like having a choice?
How much might, I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite understanding the question. I can sort of take a stab at it. And you want to go? You want to try?
I don't even have a stab, to be perfectly honest, but
Okay. How much might the less than top-notch condition be because of less than don't really want to be? Well, most staff, if they don't want to be there, they'll find some way to get out of there and at least not be on staff. So that's like part of your question answered.
yeah.
But yeah, I think sometimes though you also feel obligated to stay. And yeah, there's a lot of reasons why people still stay even if they don't want to. And it's funny, this whole choice thing has come up a few times in other live streams that I've been watching, where some people, like for me, I can only speak from my personal experience. I never thought I had a choice.
Mhm.
Like even to leave Scientology, the thought of having a choice to do that, and believe it or not, never really entered my mind. Leaving staff, yes, and just being a Scientologist. But actually leaving the entirety of Scientology never dawned on me until I started to get more information about what was going on
Mm.
and that other people had left.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think for me, I always knew that I could leave Scientology, but I could never like speak out against it, or I can never
Hmm.
say anything negative about it, specifically because of my dad,
Right.
which has been proven that I was right. That if I said anything, I would be
Mm-hmm.
disconnected from, because that's what he did a few weeks ago. So as far as I think what she means by this question is the
Sorry.
condition of the org is less because people don't really want to be there. Like maybe they don't feel an ownership to it. I mean, I wouldn't want to clean that building either. It's old and not well taken care of in general, like the whole building itself, and so that could be why.
Oh
But
yeah. Like
yeah,
the
I mean,
condition, she Jeff, she actually clarified. She said
condition of the building.
I meant the condition of the outside. That never even bothered. Well, it did bother me, the condition of the building and how dilapidated it was and how
Mhm.
stinky it was. Because I mean, my home was kept extremely clean, believe it or not, even though I worked like, 7 days a week. But those you push those kind of things aside.
Yeah. Well, and the funny thing too, while I'm thinking about it, because only when I was in the ideal org program, always bothered me because
Mm.
I felt like we didn't need a new building because the building that we were working in wasn't full, right? Like the academy
Oh,
wasn't, the basic course room wasn't full.
yeah.
Um,
It was
and
empty.
so like, why do you need another building? And
Yeah.
why are you regging all this money and forcing people to donate money to something that we don't really need when this building is not very good? Whatever. Um,
Mhm.
where was I going with this?
You didn't think that it was the ideal org. You didn't actually. It didn't bother you, the state of the building, because it was working.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And we hadn't done this yet, and why don't we just focus on this one for now?
Right.
And
Plus,
this
there's policy on that.
yeah, exactly. And the reason, I'm not saying this is the actual reason, but one of the reasons why people don't go into this org is because it looks like shit. Like it doesn't portray what L. Ron Hubbard, and this is my mindset then. It didn't portray what L. Ron Hubbard said the org should look like, but it's not things that an ideal org would fix. It's just cleaning the place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you don't have time to do that because you're on staff, and if there was like a white glove or like a big cleaning night, you don't want to do that because then it's after post,
Mm-hmm.
and you're there till like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and then have to go to work the next day. So it
Yeah.
just kind of fades into shit, I guess.
It's funny because you and I we had very different experiences on staff, yet we were on staff together. And I can tell you, when I heard about the Ideal Org program, I was very excited. When they would show those the inside of these buildings, the computer generated buildings, renderings, I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. And then I also went to the opening of the Quebec. Yeah, the
Right.
org in Quebec. And I walked through there and it was amazing. I loved it. It's like, I'm all about aesthetics though. And you know, I grew up middle class and all that shit. So for me, I was like, this is going to work. This is the answer. But then when it went on for so long, I was like, I don't want to give any more money. I'm done. You guys are sucking us dry. It was horrible. And
20 years.
it was, yeah, well, I mean, it was roughly 10 years of all the the fundraising and stuff like that. And I mean, I don't think I maybe missed one fundraising event.
Wow.
Because it was mandatory for staff to go.
That's true. And they were after post time.
They were all after post time, and usually staff were the majority of the ones there, and they were the ones that were giving the majority of the money.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I hope that answers the question, and then some.
And then some.
I would like to recognize that Laura is here in the chat. Thank you very much, Laura, for those gifted memberships. For anyone who is not aware, I do have some memberships on my channel, and they give you access to little emoticons that I created specifically for my channel, and you guys can throw those in the chat at your leisure. Thank you very much, Laura. It's nice to see you.
Okay, so hang on. I got a question. I have no idea what this YouTube membership stuff, like, what does it mean when somebody gifts 5 points for a life membership? What does that mean?
All right, so a membership to the channel, basically it's the way of someone supporting this specific channel. So they sign up for, I have 3 levels. And you can make these whatever you want, but it's like $5, $15, and $30 per month.
Okay.
And it's basically misdemeanor crime, high crime is what I called it. And then I created some
mine.
Hey,
I said it should have been mine because I was an HCL. Anyways, yes.
There you go. I could make an emoticon of your face too if you wanted to, but I just created some specific, only members can use these emoticons to put in the chat and just show that they are members to my channel and they support what I'm doing specifically. So yeah, if you guys want to join, feel free. I would like to mention at this point too that I do have something in the works that I can't get into very specifically right now, but in a very short amount of time, I'm going to be doing something fun that will create some really big annoyances for certain Scientological individuals at certain orgs, of which I cannot divulge specifically because I don't want to give anyone the heads up. But if you would, it's going to cost a bit of money, which I'm doing regardless of whether I get some support or not. But if you guys would like to support me in that, it's probably going to be about $600 is what it's going to end up costing me. So if you guys would like to support my fun activity to expose Scientology, there's a few different ways you can do it. You can become a member to my channel. The best way to do it would be buying me a coffee or PayPal. But again, only do it if you want to. It'd be great to have some help with it, but I'm doing it regardless anyway. So, because frankly, I get a bit of enjoyment out of this too.
I have an idea, Jeff.
Okay.
We could actually do an ideal org fundraiser for you.
Hey, that'd be fun. Yeah.
We can't call it an ideal org fundraiser though. We
Why
have
not?
to call it something else.
I think they would hate it.
Okay, fine.
But we can call it whatever we want. How about no ideal org fundraiser? Anyway,
fundraiser to prevent ideal orgs.
So what I need help with is it's essentially just travel arrangements and whatever. So if you guys want to help, that'd be awesome. If not, that's cool too.
We can do another live stream, and talk about just ideal orgs and how it went down in Vancouver and raise money for you. How's that? We can do that next week if you want.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. All right.
Yes.
Here's a question here, or comment. More of a question there, love. But so I married an ex-Scientologist. My lovely wife Andrea says perhaps you could describe what a fundraiser looks like and how painful it can be.
Yeah, it is painful.
It is very painful. You know what? It's funny though, because so there's video leaked and I have it somewhere. I won't find it right now, but it's of the fundraiser and how slow and like begging it is, where literally the fundraiser guy, so there's someone that stands up, and at least in Vancouver, I'll speak to that in this video I have too, which is not Vancouver. They have like a big white sheet, those folding sheets, and they go, we're doing this in this city, we're doing this and this, and this is what we need the money for. Who's first? Crickets. Unless someone's already been set up beforehand to donate. But everyone's just sitting there in the chairs, like,
yeah,
and they're like, who's first? And it just goes like that. It's so painful.
It's painful. I can tell you about honestly, Jeff, we should actually go through this, because I have a lot to say, because I was in the background also, like what happens before these fundraisers, and then what happens during and what happens after these fundraisers. Yeah. And it's hilarious. It really is. And I believe there's also leaked promotion from a past Vancouver fundraiser for the ideal org with pictures, and maybe I can find that and we can go through that and stuff like that, all in the name of raising money for Jeff so he can go stir up some shit in some other org somewhere.
Yeah, maybe who knows what I'm gonna do.
The possibility.
No, but it's gonna be fun, and I'm doing it regardless. So, if you guys want to help out,
it'd be fun.
So I think the funny thing, and I'll just make one more comment on the fundraiser aspect. When they get to this point where no one's donating any money at all, usually there's a little bit at first, and then it kind of slows down, and it gets really painful, like pulling teeth. Andrea just hit on it here. They start games. And one person,
I can tell you.
Yeah, one person will be like, I will donate $50 if 10 other people donate $50. And then, and funnily enough, in this video I have, they just keep inventing new games, but those other games don't get completed. And so you're just like confused, like, is this game done? Like, did we achieve this? Am I donating? And it creates this like sense of confusion in the whole audience, right? But they'll do
I'll have to say, there are MCs. There were MCs in Vancouver that were very good at raising money. They were very motivational. And then there were also, I'm giving it all away. No, you guys have to tune in. These are little carrots to dangle in front of you to come back next week to talk about the fundraising.
Sounds good.
So there, that's all I'm going to say.
Don't say any more.
Nope,
Don't give it
that's
away.
it.
Okay.
Nope.
So there's a couple other things about Vancouver specifically that I wanted to talk about. So when I was visiting on Foundation, which is the evening, so the weekend I went there the first time, I found out that the ED or the executive director is Nicole, which is ridiculous. And you can hear in the reaction in my video, like, are you serious? This person's not particularly I don't want to say she's dumb. She's not dumb, but she's like
No.
she's
She's
very
not she's not
ditzy, I guess.
executive. Yeah, she's
She's not
not the good make for somebody to run any organization.
yeah. And she
I
just
mean,
looks miserable. Like when she
yeah,
saw me, man, does she look miserable.
she looked rough. She looked really rough. And I understand because I was in that position.
Yeah.
Like you have to have your wits about you because you're being bombarded every which way when you're on that post, especially if you have very few staff. She has more staff than I had. Believe
Yeah.
you me, she has more staff to do stuff. So, but yeah, she looked pretty worn out. Plus, I think she's relatively new mother,
Yeah.
and her husband's also on staff on the opposite org. So, like, what kind of life is that? Like,
Yeah.
again, that's look at how children get neglected.
Yeah. And that kid will essentially become me, having to grow up in the halls or be neglected,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I ran into Marcus as well. He's the receptionist on day org. And he said a couple words to me because him and I
Did he?
actually went to school together.
Oh, right.
He was a super nerdy kid. These round glasses, always reading books, nerdy at the time, I guess. And he used to get made fun of all the time. He's a strapping young lad now. He has completely changed. But then I
He's
also
really
found
nice
out that they
kid.
have no deputy executive director.
Mhm.
And that person's job is to like make sure that people are making money and delivering service. Like it's a very important post. I would
Mhm.
say it's more important for the org than an executive director in
Well,
general.
you have to take that you as the executive director, you have to take that hat on. You
Yeah, well,
can't not.
exactly. But you can't
Yeah.
do both those hats. You just can't,
No. Well, you
right?
can't
Like
do any of them.
I shouldn't say you can't do them effectively because they're
No.
very big posts, right? And James is the PES. There's a few other public staff, but nobody was going in, so I don't know what they're doing, you know. They have 4 auditors according to James. I didn't see the senior CS show up on a Sunday. The auditors were there. I don't know what that means.
Yeah. Well, my guess is that the case supervisor, the senior case supervisor, who in Vancouver happens to be Shelley Hockett,
At least
she's
was.
she was flag trained under Miscavige and RTC at Flag in Clearwater, and she had changed her schedule, so she's likely she's because they don't have one in both orgs, so she's sort of piggybacking both orgs.
Yeah.
So she'll come in, midday and probably leave earlier in the evening.
Yeah.
Which is a non-standard schedule, may I add.
There is nothing standard about Vancouver. Like it's insane. Cuz even Marcus, he showed up to post at like 11:30 cuz I was already there when he showed up.
Yeah.
And he showed up in just jeans and a t-shirt or whatever, just casual gear.
Whoa.
And so I was like, oh, well, this guy, is he on staff? He must not be on staff anymore. But then he went and changed, put his shirt on, sitting at reception with
In jeans?
jeans and a button-down shirt and a
Not
baseball
okay.
hat.
Not okay.
Like,
No.
and this is
I
what,
would have sent him home.
well, 100%. It's
Yeah,
completely
exactly.
wrong. This is
Yeah.
like the initial face that you're seeing of Scientology if you were dumb enough to walk in. You're walking into a dirty building You're running
Yeah.
into a guy with a baseball hat and a button-down shirt on and jeans.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's very obvious why Vancouver's not doing well, because they're not doing anything correctly, right?
Well, plus the fact that Scientology sucks. So
That's fine, but every now and then, if you work hard enough and you put a good image in, you can trick enough people, right?
you can trick a few people to come
You know,
in.
like even crappy companies, if like they can polish up their image and become successful,
Right.
even though they don't provide a good product or service. But yeah, it's just like, it's just so obvious
Yes.
to someone who's from the outside looking in how
It's
screwed they are.
unprofessional. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I was always in like I always was dressed up. There was always dress pants, usually what do you call like a suit. Kind of like a suit, a
Yeah.
woman's suit.
Like a blazer or whatever.
Blazer, thank you.
Yeah.
See, it's been so long I forgot.
Well, and then there's that one guy in Foundation that I call him the cool pants guy, who had like these
That's creepy.
well, it's weird
He was
because he looked like,
creepy.
and for anyone who doesn't know the area, he looked like he just fell off of like fell out for like Commercial Drive or something. Like he didn't have the image of a Scientology staff member, and he's wearing
No.
completely mismatched clothes with plaid, white kind of plaid pants. Like it looked ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, I think
Yeah.
it's funny. And Andy, if you're listening, buddy,
Yeah,
you
dude.
gotta straighten your org out, man. Holy
Really,
crap.
it's time to put some ethics in, dude. Like wear your hat.
Yeah.
I'm disgusted.
You have a staff member talking to an SP outside? Dude.
What's the meaning of this?
Yeah.
You need to go to cramming.
Well, the thing that really bothers me is he won't even speak to me. He's my terminal. But he chooses not to talk to me. But it's not true.
Yeah.
He's afraid.
Yes,
He's
he would
afraid
be
to
your
talk to me.
terminal. He would be the guy that you would have to speak to because you are not officially declared. Now,
Yeah.
for somebody like me, I would have to speak to the International Justice Chief.
Mhm.
That's my only terminal. So, yeah, so why he doesn't talk to you, I don't know. He's not shattering suppression, if you're asking me.
Nobody is. Nobody. I'm completely intact. I didn't get shattered. And in fact, I shut down the Vancouver org just by bringing out a camera. I hadn't even talked to anybody yet. I didn't even show up to the front of the building. They shut it down before I got to the front of the building. Like,
well, they barely even opened up. The gates were still closed on one side.
I know. At least on Foundation, they opened up the gates, right? Like,
Oh,
and they put the sign out. Even though I was there, I was actually really surprised that Greg Lang brought that sign out while I was standing there. So
I thought it was inside. Was that the second time you went? Was it?
The second time I went was during day org schedule,
right?
Like 11:30 on, I don't know, I forget what day it was, Monday or something.
Yeah.
No,
Friday.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. It was day org. And the sign hadn't come out. The gates across the Dynetics Foundation was closed and locked, and nobody was going in. Although I did stop a few people who had stopped to look at the signs. I'm like, it's a cult. It's a cult. And just as I was setting up too, this guy goes, it's a cult, right? I'm like, yeah, I do.
Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, so good. And I said, that's why I'm here, because I'm filming them, because it makes them shut themselves down.
Yeah.
It's just so
I'll tell you, when I was first brought in to that org, I was not impressed. And it sat in the back of my mind because it wasn't dirty. It was just so old and so out of date. It wasn't that dirty because I didn't look that closely, but it was just like, I kind of had to like ignore it. Like this is back in whenever I went there, 1989? That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
It looked kind of worse then.
Did it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess,
It
I
was
mean, they've renovated, and I think that we can segue onto our next
Mhm.
topic. Um,
Yeah.
they're renovating the academy again. The academy is the course room that's downstairs. It's actually where I was standing filming them. It's literally below me.
Right underneath you. Yeah.
Yeah, like underneath the sidewalk, it kind of goes, it pushes out basically to the street. Um, and they're renovating again. And I found out because I was leaving, I was done filming. I'm like, I'm just gonna go, I'll go through the alley. And my plan was to loop around and just kind of like see if they put the sign out after I leave or whatever to see that. And they didn't. But as I was going through the alley, just for jokes, and I wasn't recording at this time, I knocked on their back door, the one with the graffiti on it, and nothing happened. And then seconds later, the door opens and Simon, the Sea Org member, comes out. I'm
It
like,
was
holy
weird.
shit, what are the chances, right? And so I was like, cool. So I start recording, and him and you guys can see this in the video, the second video I did there.
Uh,
I
that was
started chasing Simon down the alley with this other guy saying, "Hey, Simon, Simon, are you still in the Sea Org?" And I start telling this other guy who's a civilian contractor that he's basically a slave and he works 80 hours plus for $50 pay and all this
yeah.
stuff. And then I chased Simon. I shouldn't say I chased him. I caught up to Simon as he was going
Oh,
back in the door, and he could
yes.
barely open it. And it closes slowly, and so he's like trying to pull it closed because it's on like a hydraulic arm, so
Yeah.
it doesn't slam shut. And anyway, it was pretty funny. So then I
That
went in.
hallway. Do you remember that hallway,
Oh yeah,
Jeff? That was the creepiest. That door, if you on the other side of it, was the creepiest, longest hallway you could. And all the people had their lockers. Remember, they had those like school lockers,
yeah.
and that's where everybody would put like their books and stuff like that. But I tell you, I hated going down that hallway. It creeped me out. And it
Yep.
was always icky. People would leave their crap there, and ugh, it
And
was actually a fire hazard too when they would do that. They weren't allowed to put anything in that hallway, but shit would always accumulate there.
it used to be jam packed. I remember because I used to play down there as a kid.
Oh, Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
I know. No wonder I'm so messed up.
Yeah.
No, so then I went and talked to the civilian guy, and I said, "Hey, what were you doing there?" And of course, because he doesn't know who I am, and he goes, "I was doing carpet repair." I said, "Oh, what happened?" And so he starts telling me, he's like, "Oh, there's a tear in the carpet." And I said, "Oh, where was it?" And then he goes, "Oh, I'll show you pictures." And he like pulls out a bunch of pictures that he had taken, and it showed the academy and the shelves and stuff like that. I'm like, "Oh, is that on the basement floor here?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, just right in there." I'm like, "Oh, okay, they're renovating, hey?" He's like, "Yeah."
Oh
And
boy.
then I educated him on Scientology. So hopefully, if they call him back, he won't work for them again. But I mean, money
Yeah, he
talks.
probably will.
He probably will, but at least he knows the truth. Yeah. And then Fluffy Wicket's here.
Yeah, I
As we're
know. I
discussing
saw
this,
that.
I love the part where the guy disappears behind the graffiti covered door. Yeah. So it's so
It was
funny,
something out of a cartoon.
dude. Simon hates me for sure.
It was so
um,
funny.
yeah.
Oh,
Simon's a
gosh.
Sea Org member.
Oh,
Like,
he's such a mild-mannered guy. I've never seen him angry. Like, honestly, have you ever seen him really mad?
no, but he's a bad Sea Org member. Dude, he was
He's
wearing
so lazy.
jeans. He was
What?
wearing jeans to
Oh,
post.
he's probably doing the renovation himself. Who knows? He's probably doing
I
the
don't know.
RPF in Vancouver.
Oh God, that'd be horrible. But yeah, he was wearing jeans and like a white shirt and in that jacket, but he had no tie. Like he was not in uniform, and he
Yeah,
wasn't in uniform on Sunday either. So it's just like,
really?
yeah. And I should probably write a
That's
knowledge report.
that's weird.
Yeah,
That's really, really weird because he was always in uniform unless it was like, man, I don't remember him ever not being in uniform.
yeah. It's for people watching, it's like, who gives a shit? It's like
Yeah.
it's a big deal to be out of uniform in the Sea Org. The uniform is the only real thing that gives you that ethics presence,
Elevation. Yeah.
elevation. It separates you from the regular Scientology staff members. It's really important.
Yeah.
And the fact that the org's this dirty, that people are talking to suppressive people like myself, Simon's out of uniform. Like, I'm only
Bad
looking at this
indicators.
from, sorry?
Bad indicators.
It's
Very
all bad
bad
indicators.
indicators.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all indicators from a Scientology perspective.
Mhm.
It's a failing org, right? Day
Yeah.
staff is tiny. There was 2 public that came in at lunchtime, right, to go on course. No public left, which means
Right.
there might have been some public there already on course. Unlikely though. So that means nobody was on course in the morning. Like, it's a failing org,
Yeah.
and it's so good to see, right? It's just good to see.
It is. You know, I was thinking about there's quite a few ex-Scientologists in the Vancouver area. And I know because I had a little gathering of a lot of them a while ago. And it just seems to me that there's a lot of people who have left who are just trying to slip out without saying anything and just kind of go on their own merry way
Yeah.
and not have anything to do with it at all. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like they're just gone.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
And
for
that
sure.
and there already was a very small field in Vancouver. Like when that IAS Wars Over event happened, when the US got their tax exemption, I was part of what's called the calling committee. So, and it was a massive production. Everybody and anybody who you could get would be on the phone calling people to get them to come to this event. We rounded up, and this is, when was that? 1993?
Yeah.
We rounded up 600 people. And
Huh.
that was like people who had bought a book but never did anything.
Yeah.
It was like people, we help people fly in, we help people like stay with other people. There was all this stuff going on so we could get 600 people to this hall.
Yeah.
That was the last time anything of that magnitude has ever happened.
100%.
Even with all the golden age of technology that came out later on and all that other bullshit, there's never been that many people I've seen gather under one roof in Vancouver.
No.
It's
And
just like, yeah.
I asked James, I said, how many public are there right now? Like, honestly, how many? And he said, about 200. And I said, okay, so that's what I figured. And I
Yeah.
said, so if L. Ron Hubbard came back and there was an event celebrating his return, what is the maximum amount of people that you'd be able to get to the org for that event? And he said, if everybody came out of the woodwork, 250.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. Vancouver's massive. Like, they're never going to clear even Vancouver proper, like Vancouver City. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So what's the point? Why are they bothering?
Yeah.
You know?
It's all the more reason to keep pushing, right? To just keep persisting on exposing. It's kind of, it motivates me.
Yep.
It's, if there's that few, it won't take that much. I mean, I don't think you're going to get the diehards out,
No.
but and I mean, we don't have tax exemption. It's not a recognized religion in Canada. So I don't know, like, why are these people so dedicated to going there now? I mean, aside from being completely and utterly brainwashed,
Yeah.
I mean, we can start whittling away at that. It happened to me.
100%. Yeah.
Right.
And on the note of tax exemption, or sorry, religious recognition, there actually is no religious recognition in Canada anyway.
No.
For any religion. It's just you can believe what you want. The thing that they definitely don't have is charitable status.
Right.
They have applied for it a couple times, but the way we look at it, the way we see it, they've applied. They were much like in the UK. They were made to prove or do some sort of step to prove that they are worthy of it, and just
Yeah.
gave up because they knew they couldn't do it. And um, instead of failing to prove it, which would then have them as marked as rejected, they just didn't do anything, right? So that's how we understand it anyway.
Well, and one of the reasons for that is Canada is smaller than the US. And the Canada Revenue Agency also was well aware of the whole shenanigans that went on with the Toronto raid and the whole Snow White operation and stuff like that, right? And plus, people have actually tried to get their courses tax exempt.
Really?
People have tried and they have failed. Yeah. So,
We should
and I
talk
mean,
about that offline, because I'd be interested to see who it was, what they did, and yeah, because there's a lot of weird stuff that we've been digging into some stuff, and there's a lot of weird stuff going on with Vancouver and their status. So I think it's an interesting thing to look into.
yeah, it's actually strange. I mean, that it's strange that Canada still even has Scientology in it, because it's so a nothing here in Canada, honestly. But I tell you, there's a lot of ex-Scientologists, especially out here in Ontario. There's a lot. I was like, most of the people who have reached out to me are from Ontario, from
Yeah.
Toronto.
Me too. People keep asking me questions of things like, I don't know anything about Ontario and who was
Yeah,
there and whatever, unless they also came over here. But
yeah.
yeah,
Anyways.
cool.
Okay, so you were going to segue into something, and then we segued way off of that topic.
God. And that was like minutes ago, so I've forgotten.
What
We
you
do
were
have.
going to talk? Oh my God!
What was I going to talk about?
Well, were you going to show parts of the building?
No.
No, you're not going
No,
to
not
show
really.
the
I mean, I was gonna.
fire
There's one
escape?
other thing I wanted to point out was I wanted to discuss the fire code, or lack thereof. So let me see if I can pull this up properly here. This one? Yep, there we
Yeah.
go. Okay, so this is like 3.5 floors up, basically. At least 3 floors up. And this is the treasury office here. This guy right here is the first window. This is the second window of the treasury office. And I'm looking at it, and I don't see, there's a ladder here. There's a window here. So you're going to climb out the window. There's a huge gap right here with a, fall to concrete straight down there.
Yeah.
There's a ladder to the roof, but I don't have the picture handy with me, but I zoomed in on like where it's connected to the roof, and
It's not.
it looked very secure.
It's completely rusted out. I just
Yeah.
I just remembered something, Jeff. Remember there was the conference room?
Conference room.
Yeah, so there was the executive director's office,
Yeah.
the conference room, and then across the hallway was treasury. Do you recall?
Oh,
Third
yeah.
floor?
Where the call-in happened.
Yes.
That might be this one here then.
That's what I think that one
Yeah.
is. Yeah. But there's
Yeah.
no other exit. Like nothing else even on the front.
No, it's very strange to me. Like these ones you can get out and go up on this roof, and then there's
So, but that's it.
yeah, then you'd have to break into the neighbor's building, because there's another building there with windows and everything. I guess you could break in through there, but it just seems really strange to me that there's only one. If there's a fire here, how do you escape, right? Like,
I don't
anyway,
know.
I just wanted
It's
to point that out.
probably
If
not.
anyone has
Yeah.
any fire department connections in British Columbia and wants to, make a note of that, it seems very strange to me. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. I mean, I wouldn't walk on, and we used to walk on that roof. That's where
Yeah.
I used to go out for a cigarette all the time onto that.
Yeah.
Not the very
Everyone did.
top one, the second level one.
Risking starting a fire on the roof.
We actually did start a fire once in one of those because we were so stupid.
It's not surprising to me.
It was in a coffee can. Well, it wasn't a fire, it was like smoldering
Okay. Yeah.
because everybody practically smoked.
Yeah. Is that a gap in front of the door? It's not a door, it's a window. But yeah, there's a gap in the place where you'd stand, and the
Yeah.
ladder there should be a ladder going down to the ground, essentially. It's like, old movies, you see it in, where they pull a ladder down and climb up or whatever. There's no ladder there anymore, and now there's just a hole, which is insane to me.
Yeah.
So
Lorna's talking about.
Lorna says also for fire regulations, there needs to be fire extinguishers in many places. There could be.
Yeah.
I did ask to go in the org, and I was denied. So
I do know that the DSA, the Department of Special Affairs, is in charge of those things. So if there's like a fire inspection, because they do that randomly, right?
Yep.
Then they give them a heads up, and then they're supposed to like run around the place and make sure everything's to code. Given the fact that the DSA is training in Clearwater, there's probably nobody there to actually do anything about it.
Yeah.
So, if somebody decided to call the fire department,
Yeah.
bring it
Anybody
up
can
to
do
them.
that. Definitely make a
Probably a
report.
good idea. Well, yeah,
It's
I
a
mean,
little
there's
bit.
people in there, right?
Yeah. There's human lives in there.
Yeah.
So
We didn't even do a fire drill
no.
ever.
Nope.
There's no what?
With Scientology though, like you're not supposed to. There shouldn't be accidents, right? Like you're PTS. If there's an accident, then there's someone as a suppressive person at org.
Right. And instead of putting the fire out, they would put them on the meter and find out who the suppressive is on their lines. Oh, sorry.
So dumb.
But that's how they handle everything, right?
Yeah.
It's
This is
insane.
true. Anyway,
Yeah.
I would like to ask Andy a question at this point, seeing as we're talking about being PTS and stuff. What did you do to pull me in, Andy?
Oh, and I have a question.
Mm.
How come the sec check didn't handle me?
Well, that's
So
the
that
thing.
means you didn't get all my overts and withholds?
Yeah.
The Class 8 Senior CS flag trained, she's a perfect auditor. What did she miss? And did she actually go to cramming after that?
That'd be hilarious.
Just wondering.
Alex, you naughty, naughty little boy.
How did I put
I
it?
will answer that question if you answer, how do I become as handsome as you, sir? You still haven't responded to that one. I've been asking you for months.
Oh no.
Yeah.
You two are so funny.
You're right. Right.
Oh, okay. So, look, you have like 9 things starred there.
I do. We should probably start attacking those because it's coming up on an hour, and
Yeah.
people have better things to do than
And
listen
I've
to
got
us
it.
flap
Yeah,
our
I've
gums.
got an earache. I've had it all day, so
Okay.
I'm surprised I lasted this long.
Well, we'll wrap it up fairly soon then. But here we go. Bev, hello from Edmonton. Question: do you know what the symbol means? I think referring to the Scientology symbol. I see triangles, but what else is mixed in there? The triangle represents Freemasons and the occult. Well, the two triangles are the ARC triangle, so affinity, reality, communication, and knowledge, responsibility, and control, which are the two triangles of Scientology. and then the S is Scientology. So yeah, there's nothing more to it than that, right?
It means sucky.
Sucky,
We've
yeah.
redefined it means sucky.
Sucky, okay. The S stands for the money symbol, I think, because you
That's
need
right.
money to be in Scientology.
Yeah. But she is right, though. The triangle symbols are Masonic.
Mm.
And if you look further into Scientology and where it came from, you will see that it has what is it called? Oh, yeah, for scam, occult. Hubbard was into some weird black magic crap.
Hi, Matt.
Hi, Matt.
All right, cool. There you go. Hope that
Okay.
answers your questions, Bev.
And then some.
Oh, here's a good one. Do you
No.
think he's yelling it at us? Do you think Toronto will finally become ideal? No. You know,
No.
it's funny. Are there so there's Montreal. Other than Montreal, is there
It's
or is it Quebec?
Quebec.
Montreal is not ideal, right? Quebec.
No.
So there's
They
only
had
one
actually a
ideal
building.
org in Canada.
Cambridge.
My guess, yeah, I guess so, yeah. There's two of them. It's
Nothing in
weird to
Western
me.
Canada.
That's weird to me. Yeah, it's just not a priority. You know?
In
Canada's
the whole
so
scheme of
small.
things, nobody gives a shit about Canada, quite frankly, as far as Scientology concerned, which is fine. That's okay.
Yeah, for sure. And the funny thing is, though, like, Sunderland, which is the org that Alex and I went into, which I'm just thinking is just hilarious at this point again. It's got an ideal org building purchased.
Mhm.
They have 3 staff.
Amazing.
Like, when is that ever going to open? They have 30, I want to say 30 or 33 bodies in the shop, which is people who have come in for services at some point in that week.
Wow. That's small.
What's the point of having a bigger building? Everybody fits.
It's a way to launder the money into these buildings.
Exactly.
Honestly.
And like Toronto has been sitting just falling apart for over 10 years.
Yeah.
And when are they going to start renovating? If they're going to start renovating, who knows? Like, after a building sitting for 10 years, there's got to be so much more you got to do to it at that point. Like, it's just falling apart. Buildings don't stay good condition, especially in like extreme temperatures and stuff, if you don't upkeep it and, maintain it. Just like this Vancouver org.
Exactly. You know what's crazy though? Toronto, that org that's all boarded up is an amazing location. The amount of foot traffic it gets is crazy.
Yeah. You know what's not an ideal location? Cambridge.
Vancouver? Oh, Cambridge.
Well, Vancouver too now. It used to be really good. Vancouver in that area used to be pretty hopping. Now all the big businesses and stuff have moved west, and now it's just like, well, people who Scientology doesn't want, essentially. And there's a lot of international students because there's a school like 2 doors down for international students. So there's a lot of Asian and a lot of South American people that were walking by when I was there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I never understood, like, even before Cambridge became an ideal org, there was never an org in Cambridge.
That's weird.
This is really puzzling. Like, why in Cambridge? I mean, I guess there's an area of, what is it called? Kitchener, Waterloo, and something else. And I think maybe that's Cambridge. It's a very big area.
Yeah.
Maybe Matt might know, but like, why would you put an ideal org in Cambridge when Toronto is like it's the biggest city in Canada?
Yeah.
Like, why not put the money there? Like, that would be logical to me, right? If you want to like get people in, there it is. And Guelph is like, those are major cities.
Yeah, and Guelph is where the Sea Org, the CLO is right now.
Yes.
Yeah. I'd like to go give them a visit sometime.
Mm-hmm. Well, come on down. Let's go. Let's go for a tour.
Oh, I'll make a cross Canada trip. Don't worry about that. And then, of course, Mary here. Hello, Mary. What about the great location of Hockley Valley? I mean, that was amazing. That would be incredible if they could get that going, because that's a beautiful
Right.
property. But again, it's just they buy it and it just sits and rots. They've done this all across the world. It just sits
Mm-hmm.
and rots. This is where the new, or not new, but the Canadian AO is supposed to be. And that's
Yeah.
been like 12, 13 years since they announced that. Where is it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Where is it, Andy? Where is it? All right,
Going
Auntie,
down here.
got a question here. How would you describe the overall morale in the org if year after
Oh.
year it doesn't seem to get many more, if any, new members, counter to the propaganda from the top? That's a good question.
Well, can I answer that?
Yes, absolutely.
There's always something going on. Miscavige conceives of some cockamamie project that keeps the staff mostly hoping that things will get better. Examples of that is the Ideal Org, the Golden Age of Knowledge, the Golden Age of Tech, the Golden Age of Admin. There's a whole bunch of people training down there now, and those executives who are training down there are going to come back and they're going to fix everything up, and it's going to be a big booming org, and everything will be just fine.
Yep.
And that's and then you have the international events.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And on the note of all those Golden Age of Knowledge or Golden Age of Admin people coming back and booming the org, as soon as I hear that they're back, I will be out there every single day. Every day.
Yeah.
Making sure that nobody goes into that org. So good luck. Laura, Jeff, are there any orgs outside Vancouver in BC, like Victoria, Kamloops, Prince George, etc.? No. There's a
No.
mission in Victoria, which is run by Craig Baird and Effie Baird.
And just so you know, it's actually it's the Church of Scientology of BC.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So it's not
technically
Church
what
of
it's called.
Scientology of Vancouver. Just so it's supposed to deal with the entire province, right?
Yeah. Good luck. Good luck. Dude, you guys are so screwed. Little Captain Davy's gonna be very mad at you guys.
Yep.
Polkaroo, did you hear about the horse that joined Scientology but left when it found out it was a cult?
Oh, that's so corny. I love it.
Bad. So bad, I would tell that joke. Thank you. Fluffy Wickets, has Scientology tried to infiltrate the Canadian government like they did in the US? Yes.
They
And in
didn't
fact,
try, they did.
They did. And it was part of the exact same program. It was just in a different country, and people got charged for it, actually. You have more information about that if you wanted to give a quick rundown of it.
Yeah, the documents that were found in the Snow White, what do you call it, operation, like when that blew up, they found documents that implicated or indicated that it people in Canada were doing the same thing. I don't believe they infiltrated the actual government. It was more like the Ontario Provincial Police, the RCMP, and then I think it was the Attorney General. I guess, yeah, that would be considered the Canadian government.
Well, it's federal, yeah.
It's federal. So yeah, I don't have, like, most of the information I've gotten is from Wikipedia, and then there was also the court case. It took about 10 years to actually prosecute the I think it was the 3 members. It was like Scientology. They really know how to play the law. But anyways, so yes, to answer your question, they did infiltrate.
Yep.
Not as of a big scale that they did in the US, but because Canada isn't obviously as big, but I think it was a matter of stealing more documents. Like when they did the raid in Toronto, they took like 900 banker boxes.
Wow.
But after the court case, they did return them. There's pictures online. We can actually dig them up one of these days. And nothing ever happened to Janice Wheeler. Yeah, somebody saying that in the chat. Yeah, I believe Janice Wheeler was actually one of the people who were indicted.
Mm.
And she was, I think it was when it was still the Guardian's office. It wasn't OSA. That same year, if I'm getting my dates correctly, when they did the raid, it was close to the end of that year that the GO was turned into OSA,
Mm.
which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah. So much history there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Next question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right. Do you think the failing reinforces their belief in the sense it consolidates the urgency and makes them stop through of criticism? Or is it more probable to doubt in these situations? You know, when I can only answer obviously because when I was in, there was always the more things were happening, the harder things were seeming, the more you buckle down. I don't know if it necessarily reinforced, but it definitely motivated. Like, we got to get going. This planet needs our help, et cetera, et cetera. Like, it's very motivating because you think only you have the answer. And Scientologists are good people in general. There are some bad ones, just like anywhere else. And they want to help. Like James, for example, he wants to help. That's his goal is to help people. He loves it. And he's just misinformed that Scientology is helpful. He's wrong on that. So yeah, it's not coming from a bad place. You just want to help. So
yeah, and they don't believe that that Scientology is failing.
That's true.
You don't believe that.
It's so hard not to, though. Like, how can, and I guess I was the same person too in this situation, but how can you not see, like, even when I was talking to James, like, same old people, I'm like, same old crew. There's a few new faces, he says. Like, how do you not see that you're failing? And I will say one part of the conversation that we had off the record was I was saying, did you know that the ideal orgs are empty? Right, because we were talking about ideal orgs and I about Vancouver getting one and the fact that they don't even have a building yet, so it's never going to happen. But I said, have you ever actually been to one? And he said, no. I said, well, they're empty. They make it look like they're full and they tell you they're full, but they're not. And every single org is failing like yours, but you don't know that because they're not telling you that. And I could see something go off in his head. And he goes, I got to get my passport, because he can't. I guess he could go to Cambridge, but why go to Ontario?
Well, he should go to Cambridge.
Yeah, I guess that would prove that it's failing because I'm sure it's empty. But Seattle's like a 2-hour drive from here, and that's an ideal org in Washington.
I didn't like Seattle.
No,
Seattle's ideal org. It did nothing for me, and it was empty.
Yeah, and then you could even drive to like Portland, which is 5-hour drive away. There's two.
Not that far.
No, there's 2 ideal orgs, but he can't cross the border. So, but yeah, he's never seen one, and that's why. And I don't think most Scientologists have, because
unless you're in one.
Well, yeah, exactly. But then you just think, well, it's my org only, and everywhere else is good. It's like, I don't know what the psychological term is for it, but it's a cognitive
It's called
dissonance.
thought stopping. You refuse to see it. It's like, no, I'm, nothing to see here.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I remember when Quebec was open, I talked to some of the staff there, and most of the staff wasn't from there.
Mm.
They you know, they pilfered people from all over the place, and they did the same thing in Cambridge. Like, these guys know what the sort of scam was to try and get that org open.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and I know that and this was one of the things that scared the crap out of me when I talked to, she was my counterpart in Quebec, and she was telling me she was doing, just on her post alone, I think it was 70 or 80 hours a week.
Jesus Christ.
But this is before the Ideal Org happened. This was to help man it. And they were doing all sorts of stuff to get people. They were fundraising for them. They were helping them sell their stuff in if they were in another province. They were helping them get housed. It was just like insane. And I thought, oh my God, I can't do that. I can't deal with that, because I already had a full-time job during the day,
Yeah.
you know. So I just, you know, but I mean, honestly, and then I still stayed for how many more years even after that? You
You're just a
know, so
sucker for
that
punishment.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's the conditioning. That's why it's a prison of belief.
Yeah.
You condition yourself to believing this shit, and it's really hard to convince yourself out of that. Right?
Yeah. Thankfully, we have.
Well, yeah, and with some help from the outside, right?
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I think most people who are in right now are in, and that's just what they are. They'll leave eventually at some point. That's not my main focus. Mainly focus on just making sure that no one else joins, because then they
Right.
can't be abused. You know, if you want to go
Well,
read a
and
book, if you want to
yeah.
go read a book, but don't join the Church of Scientology, because you're just going to lose your money, be abused, and once you're out of money, that's it. They don't want you
But Jeff,
anymore.
look, you reached out to James.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying
Like,
I'm never going to get anybody out.
right.
I already have, but the fact
Yeah,
is, like, that's not my focus, because
right.
although I want them to leave, that's like going up a very, very difficult mountain when you could go do, you could get 10 people to not join. That's just kind of the way
Yeah.
I look at it. But
You sort of cut off their feeder line.
yeah, exactly. And when they're out there trying to spread their lies and propaganda, looking for new people to join, I will be there, and I will recruit more people to join me and stop them, because
Yeah.
that's my right. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I was there with you, quite honestly, Jeff. I would be there right beside you, because
Well,
I'm retired and I need things to do.
well, you got lots of people to help you out there as well. So we need
Yeah.
it all across the country, basically. Although maybe not
Yeah.
Edmonton, because
Yeah.
Edmonton.
I don't
No one.
know.
I don't think anyone's joining in Edmonton.
It's too cold in Edmonton. Kidding.
No.
Edmonton's beautiful. As a matter of fact, if there was any province that I would want to live in, I think it might be Edmonton or BC. Just because
Alberta.
Alberta. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes.
I mean, yeah, I would live. Definitely like Kananaskis and stuff area. Calgary. I like Calgary.
It's
And
flat.
although my sister and other family live east of Edmonton, in like Camrose area, Gwyn, kind of. Anyway, it's beautiful. It's like rolling kind of
Yeah.
foothills. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Especially like the big skies are phenomenal. So
I don't think there's not a lot of ugly places in Canada. I think Canada overall is a very beautiful country.
yeah,
Unless you go down to like Hastings in Maine or something.
that's pretty
Don't
gross.
go there. Yeah,
Well, it's pretty gross just right next to the org too. Now you don't even have to go that far. It's really inching.
It's encroaching right on. Yeah, it's a
well,
block away.
Well,
If that.
literally, no, it's surpassed the org at this point. Like when I showed
Oh
up
my
on the
God.
weekend, there's consistently people sleeping and living on the street, like on the block where the org is now. Like it's kind of pushed that way. So
That's
you know,
disgusting.
well, it's
That shouldn't be.
unfortunate that there's all these people in this big beautiful building that won't help these people either, right? Like
Mhm.
they want nothing to do with them. You know, that's why I gave them the Timbits I was going to hand out jokingly to the staff. I was like, these staff members
Yeah.
don't deserve these Timbits, right? Like
Yeah.
Timbit, for anyone who's watching who doesn't know, is a donut hole
Donut hole.
from Tim Hortons. Anyway,
Poor people.
let's not digress too much.
Okay.
All right. Question:
Okay.
Were you or did you know anyone who was a child auditor under 18 years of age? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Who did you know?
I can't say.
No?
The person I know, I can't say who it is.
Okay. That's fine. Well, I think for I maybe not auditor specifically, but tech terminal, like Kyle Pritchard, I think was
Ooh.
underage when
He
he
went to
went down to flag.
flag.
Yeah.
16? 17?
I mean, I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
He
I'm pretty
might have
sure
been around that age.
he
He's
was
a
pretty young.
yeah. Yeah.
There's lots of people. I mean, Krista Brown, I think she was on. She was a
She
public doing
was
auditing. She,
getting auditing, right?
interestingly, she is now in the Grant Cardone
Cardone.
Canada business in
Yep.
Port Moody. Her and Daniel Boileau, who is a
Yep.
failed actor, he gave up on it to scam people out of money, a la Grant Cardone and 10X.
Yeah. I would like to get to the bottom of that because those people, they actually moved their headquarters to Toronto. I did
Did
a
they?
little bit of super sleuthing. Let me tell you, I did a little bit of super sleuthing, and Boileau, Mr. Daniel Boileau, he is now in Toronto.
Oh,
But they still have an office in Port Coquitlam.
Port
And I
Moody.
believe that Port Moody, that's where Krista is.
Okay.
There are other people there who are, I guess they're consultant. They run the Grant Cardone program there, so it's a sales program.
Yeah.
And there's a guy that was on Aaron Smith Levin's show just the other day who was part of the Grant Cardone group. I'd like to get a hold of him and see if he knows how these people got to Vancouver.
Hmm.
I just
Yeah.
think it's because I don't recognize them. And generally speaking, if you open up a business, you're local, and I would probably know you. So I've never seen these people before. So I'm guessing they were probably branched off from Cardone's group in the States and were sent down here. I'd really like to dig into that one because that's juicy. Because they would be a feeder line to the org,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I don't think people know that necessarily either. They know that Grant Cardone uses the money that he scams from people to donate to the org and become a big donor, but these local ones they will feed people. They're called WISE companies or World Institute of Scientology Enterprises. They're companies that use LRH technology to run their businesses and so forth. And but the real purpose of it is to
Recruit.
rope people in to
Yeah.
services. And like Hillary Rockall, Joel Parker, who ran Business Solutions, what was it called again?
It was called Veterinary Practice Solutions. I
Oh yeah,
worked
right.
for them.
Yeah. And yeah, they sent so many people down to the org, right? Like
Yeah.
big
Oh, God.
packages.
Yep.
Like
Big
I bet
auditing
you
package.
anything the org wouldn't exist if it wasn't for them at this point. That's how much
No.
money was coming into the org from these people.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It would be 20, 30 grand a pop when these guys would come, right? And it was fairly regular.
Do you know if many of
So
those people stuck? No.
no.
Be interesting to reach out to whoever they are and get a story from them about it.
Yeah. I mean, they're mostly from the States.
Mm.
So they would kind of fly in and do the service, stay for a while. And then they would kind of go to VPS and do their business courses and then come down to the org to do their auditing services. Anyways, we could do a show on that too, my dear. It's fascinating.
It's just it's such proof that it's just a business.
Yeah, and honestly, it's also just so people know, shutting down a test center in Los Angeles does not stop the recruiting.
No.
There are so many other ways Scientology sucks people in. There's so many little tentacles and avenues, and it's set up that way. These front groups are huge, especially the WISE groups. They are major feeder lines or recruiting lines into these orgs. And it's most of the reason why they don't care if they're not getting the walk-in, so long as they're getting the money.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. And there's I was looking into as well, like, Delphi is huge too for for trafficking purposes, I guess, for labor purposes and so forth. But I also completely forgot about Heron Books, which is run by Scientologists, and they make school curriculum books, and they're all Scientologists. Like, you look at them on the board, all Scientologists, big donors, and they're all on the board or work at Delphi. Like, it's this huge connection, right?
Right, and that's another place to get staff members too, is from Delphi.
Yeah, Sea Org members specifically.
Sea Org. Well, I mean, yeah, there's some in Vancouver. Parents. There's a number of parents I can list off the top of my head from Vancouver that sent their kids to Delphi, and many of them did end up in the Sea Org.
Yeah,
and that's like 30 at the time. I think it was about $30,000 or $40,000 a year to keep your kid in this Scientology school.
Yeah, it's insane.
That's a lot of money.
Yep. Anyway, we got one more, just a comment. Or sorry, I guess it's a question-y comment. One Love 51,000. Do you find it ironic that first you couldn't get out and now they wouldn't let you in? Yes. It means I'm doing an amazing job. Thank you. I really, I asked him, I said, I don't suppose you'd let me come in. He's like, not a chance. I'm like, okay. I got to try. That's one thing that I always like to teach people, is if you don't try, you never get your opportunities, right? So
when I go to Cambridge, I will walk in, and they'll have your
picture at this point, but
I doubt it.
Oh, sure they will. Oh, sure they will.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got you.
You think so?
Yeah.
I'm not such a big threat. I'm just a wee little YouTuber here in God's country, Godrich here.
Yeah, Godrich. On that note, you guys should all go subscribe to Gabe's channel if you aren't already subscribed. And on that note too, I was delving into my back end stats a little bit, and my stats say that about 42% of y'all who are watching this video aren't subscribed. And I'd love it if you could subscribe, because it helps me, helps get the word out, and gives me more opportunities to do an amazing job. So please do show me some love.
Yeah.
Show Gabe some love.
Yeah.
Well, Gabe, is there anything that you would like to say before we end this interview?
No.
End this session.
No, I just want to thank everybody for their questions and and all their comments. I have been looking at them and and stuff like that. Oh, somebody subscribed to both. That's good. And yeah, you can buy me a coffee too. I don't mind. I can get, maybe some better equipment. That would be great. So yeah, it's all
Well,
good.
if you don't have a better mic by the time I come out there to visit you, I will bring you another mic if you need one.
Oh yay.
But your
I don't
audio
know.
sounds good. Your audio sounds good.
Does it sound okay?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay,
I
fine.
think so.
Then
Yeah.
don't need anything.
But then I can bring you a second mic so you can talk with Chuck and he can tell all his stories.
Oh, yes.
One day.
Chuck would be fun. Oh, Montreal. Hold on here. Somebody just jumped in here.
Francoeur is are strong in that area. Yeah, for sure.
Is he the one Eugenie that did the documentary? Was he involved in that documentary?
I'm actually not sure if that's the name or not. If you are, Eugenie, we'll stay on for 2 more minutes here if you want to respond. We are just wrapping up, but
yeah. And yeah, I think the next thing we should do is we'll talk about fundraisers.
Yes.
And
speaking of fundraiser,
and that's my
Eugenie,
cousin.
yes, that's your cousin. Okay.
Oh,
no, but speaking of fundraiser, guys, I am working on something. I'm going to do it regardless, but if you guys want to contribute, I need about $600. It's going to cost about $600 in Canadian dollars, which is, I don't know, $10 American.
Loonies.
Loonies. If you guys are interested in helping out, like I said, I'm going to do it anyway. But, it would be nice. It's going to be some fun content and it should be good.
Somebody wants to know. We need to handle this next time. I want to be able to click. I can't click on somebody here. See where it says not a sheeple?
Yes.
Somebody wants to know why I picked Godrich. Well, it's closer to Kitchener, but it's not in a big city. And it's affordable here. And I'm right on Lake Huron. Like I could probably throw a stone and hit the lake.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. It's gorgeous here. And it was on my bucket list. I lived in all around mountains and the ocean. But I wanted to live close to water that I could afford. And I couldn't afford it in Vancouver. And Chuck has family in Kitchener, and we don't really have much family left in BC. And as a matter of fact, most of them are going to be moving out here soon too. So what is that? I'm in. Oh, okay.
Dundalk. Free your mind. So I pardon your ignorance. That's okay if you didn't catch it. So earlier I talked about I'm working on something that I'm going to be doing. I can't get into the details of it, but essentially it's travel expenses. And that's what the money's for. You guys will definitely find out regardless of whether people help or not. But I will have a link if you guys want to contribute. The best way to do it would be buy me a coffee or PayPal. But like I said, if you guys can, that's great. If not, that's cool too. I just can't really divulge specifics yet, but you guys will all find out eventually.
That's right.
Very soon.
Don't reveal your hand yet.
I can't reveal my hand.
No.
I don't want to give anybody the heads up on what I'm about to do, specifically Scientology. Right. So, yeah.
Buy Jeff a coffee. Oh, there you go.
Thanks,
Alex. Well, you can add mine in there too.
Yeah, Alex.
Yeah, Alex.
All right, I'm going to wrap us up here.
Okay,
Gabe,
guys.
thank you very much for joining me. Everyone
Over
in the chat,
and out.
thank you very much. We'll see you again.
See you again. Bye.
Nola, how's it going?